Welcome back to the Cinema Sessions, a Dubliner's Guide to Cinema with myself, Keith, and with Seamus.
How you doing, guys?
So, how's the tricks?
Not too bad now. I didn't like the Fantastic Four movie as much as you did, Keith.
No, I did quite enjoy
this
it.
in a chronology.
The issue we're talking about the Fantastic Four is this mightn't come out for a month. So maybe
well, folks, you know how the sausage is made now.
Exactly.
But apart from that, I mean, it was nice to spend an evening out. You know? It's nice to get out of the house. So
I can imagine, yeah.
On a lovely summer day like we had the other day. But no, doing well. Enjoying the notoriety the podcast is bringing us. It's hard to walk down the streets, you know, with all those people liking and subscribing and commenting. You know, particularly love all the comments, guys. So keep them coming in.
Yeah, so, it is good crack, alright. Because it's weird, because when you plan something so much in your head, and then it's actually when it's actually being done, it's kind of weird to actually see it out there in the world. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I had an experience the other day. I think it was actually related to the podcast, but it's happened a few times in my life where, you know, you put a lot of effort into something and then you nearly forget. Like, it basically, you put something to someone when you say, like, did you like it? And then that's the moment you realize this person could ruin my life in the next, like, they could really say something that... I had a friend who used to be in a lot of movies in Hong Kong, and I remember sitting down in the cinema, and every time it started, I'd be like, this could be the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, what am I going to say to the guy? It's a complete flip. Like, obviously people put in effort, blah, blah, but like, your life can go very haywire very quickly, because it's going to be this street or it's going to be this street. And if someone says they don't like something, then you're like, right,
well, what do you mean? Did you understand it? Like, hang on.
Exactly. And you don't want to be the guy who's really defensive, but at the same time, you don't want to be the guy who just sits there and takes a beat.
But like, I mean, you just have to roll with it, I think. Like, do you know what I mean? See, because what I've done is obviously you try and engage as much as you can, but posting and ghosting is the way forward. Like, do you know what I mean? You put it up and you let it. Yeah, you let it aerate for a few days, and then you go and maybe.
Does. Yeah, Joe Rogan, the king of the podcast, Joe Rogan. That's what he does. He says he doesn't pay attention, but you'd have to. He listens to completely, his puppet masters, doesn't he? Anyway,
so back to the podcast at hand. So the film we're going to do today is 2018's Upgrade.
Yes, the most recent film we've done, and it was a suggestion of mine for reasons we'll go into. So it is a very underseen film. It's definitely, even I am not hugely into the streaming and video on demand. I'm a Netflix and whatever's free on Amazon Prime kind of a guy. If that's your thing, fair enough. I first saw it on Sky, the subscription thing, when I signed up for it, because I wanted to watch the last season of Game of Thrones. Okay, and it was just on. I forget why I did, but as you might guess, I was quite taken with it. But just so everyone knows kind of what we're talking about. But and
just before you get into your spiel, just on the point of it's very underseen, because I mean, I'd never heard of this film until a colleague in a warehouse said, "Oh, you should check out this film." I had absolutely... Right,
so it's the word of mouth, yeah.
It was complete. Someone just recommended it, because I did no marketing at the time, no nothing.
Certainly here, yeah. Like, this Blu-ray here was not... Like, it wasn't impossible to track down, but in Ireland here, we use the UK Amazon. It's kind of changing now, but it was not for sale on Amazon, at least, easily, you know, a third party, and I had to buy it direct from the label Second Sight, which is kind of a boutique label. So it's not the easiest thing to track down if you're a physical media, you know, kind of a person. There may be certain other ways of getting in touch with it, but we wouldn't indulge in the filthy practice of watching something illegally, you know. So this film, Upgrade, is a science fiction action thriller from 2018, written and directed by Leigh Whannell. Starring Logan Marshall-Green, Betty Gabriel and Harrison Gilbertson, the film follows Grey Trace, a mechanic in a near-future dystopia whose wife is murdered in an attack that leaves him quadriplegic. He is offered a chance to walk again through an experimental AI implant called STEM, which also grants him enhanced physical abilities. The movie then follows him as he takes his revenge on the men who crippled him and killed his wife. The film has a 7.5 rating on IMDb with a Metacritic score of 67% and a user score of 7.8. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a critic score of 88% and an audience score of also 88%. It was made on a modest budget of about $5 million. It was definitely we'll talk about the label that made it. They have a budget limit, and it grossed around $17 million worldwide. And regarding the topic of invasive technology, on a personal note, I'm increasingly convinced that the pigeons that congregate around my house are sophisticated listening devices. My family tell me they're concerned about my mental health. But isn't that what CIA agents would say? So, yeah, I'm not really that paranoid, guys. Just anyone watching, I'm doing my secret signal.
Yeah, the clouds are following you.
Yeah, exactly. And the toaster's been laughing at me and so on and so forth. That is actually a real conspiracy that birds aren't real.
Oh, yeah. So that's the COVID was a big hoax just so they could change the batteries in the boards.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That was the one, like, because we were all locked up in the house.
Doesn't it make some kind of sense? Yeah, so...
yeah, like, why aren't we knee-deep in dead birds? Do you know what I mean?
You know, now you're starting to convince me. I have been noticing them more and more. So this was a film also that I really was taken by. And so you can be the one to maybe confirm or deny this, but one of the reasons we started the podcast was in 2024, I did a thing on my Instagram at Teacher Seamus. Where I reviewed a film every day, and Upgrade was one of them. And I think you saw the reviews and you kind of said, "Oh, that'd be kind of interesting." Podcast kind of weird. So for anyone who's interested, this was my review of Upgrade, and I'll talk about how maybe some of my thinking has changed a bit. So here we go. When I was a lot younger, I was always puzzled by and frequently mocked critics who took a film to task for unnecessary action scenes or for saying a film had a good premise but devolved into mindless action. Being the jaded and hopefully more worldly person I am today, I can see the error of my ways. This makes it all the more frustrating when a film that has a great premise, great action, and manages to tie them together in a thematically relevant way gets the kind of mediocre reviews this film did. I went into the film cold, so I'll grant anyone reading this the same privilege, but suffice it to say the film melds a well-executed revenge plot with a pitch-perfect satire of our over-reliance on technology, while delivering what, to my eye at least, are the best non-Asian martial arts scenes of at least the best 15 years. The final and most... Sorry, I've skipped a bit there that was actually kind of important. Go back and fix that, Keith. I'd have to do a deeper analysis to say with certainty, but the mild critical reception this got could be the result of terminally online critics scoffing at the satire, similar to how an alcoholic laughs at someone telling them to ease up on the booze. Alternatively, it could be general movie jadedness, as many critics seem to have reviewed it at film festivals. The final and most depressing possibility is that they were oversaturated with superhero films at the time. Several critics compared it to the then unreleased Venom, and couldn't separate the golden wheat from the shit-covered chaff they'd been conditioned, not to mention incentivized, to take seriously. Interestingly, this was not a problem director Leigh Whannell had with his more politically palatable, yet dramatically flat follow-up, The Invisible Man. Of course, that's also a property our critical friends are familiar with, so they're more inclined to pay attention. To finish on a positive note, though, this film is excellently acted, brilliantly directed and written, and has a narrative that achieves what David Mamet calls the highest accomplishment. It is unpredictable, yet inevitable. Fucking brilliant. I should amend slightly, though. I kind of go back and forth on this. I was basing the mediocre critical thing on its Metacritic score, which is 67, which... The film is far better than for me. It has a 100%. Very good score on Rotten Tomatoes.
88%, I think.
Yeah, which people... Rotten Tomatoes is very binary. It just says it's a good review or a bad review, whereas Metacritic gives it a number. I do stand by the comment of not everyone... I made it sound like more universal. There were some critics who were like, this looks like that Venom movie, which hadn't fucking been released.
Yeah.
And I...
But that's such a harebrained... weak review, like it's so as deep as a puddle. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It just
drove me daft because I was like, how do you not see the you're conditioned now that these films are the big thing because they are incentivized like they're
looking at it, but they're looking at it already through the prism of some sort of superhero IP. Do you know what I mean? Whereas they shouldn't be. They should be looking at it for what it is.
Yeah, which do you know what I mean? The film wasn't even released. Like, why did they say then the Venom ripped off Upgrade, or like they didn't say now, to be fair, that it ripped it off, but they mentioned it, and I was like, well, this is first, and it's a low budget film from an original premise.
Yeah, like I mean, what was Venom? Venom was probably $80 million. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Venom, and that fucking Venom was shite anyway. But there's a 3-film franchise and all this, and I don't know. If I remember right, Tom Hardy was kind of funny in it or something. Like I saw it once and I was like, I'll never watch that again. But yeah, I was fairly infuriated when I wrote that. I was slightly unfair. I made it seem like all the critics said that, which they didn't. But the few that did should be fucking
really.
Yeah,
because like at the end of the day, like I mean, even in the world that we live in, where everybody kind of does their own research, you still rely on. That's the reason why Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic exist in this online landscape. It's because people, maybe they're not cinephiles, but they go and they want to know, well, is this worth me 15 quid into the cinema? Like, do you know what I mean? And when you read something as harebrained and as just, as completely devoid of any kind of true reflection of what they've just watched. Mm-hmm. It's just annoying, like, do you know what I mean?
Well, it really got my guy. I remember being angry now when I was checking it, because this film really just blew me away. Just on a very quick side note, one of the guys, at least I was told he was the main guy who created Rotten Tomatoes. He was a friend of a friend. Okay. And I was sitting beside him when we saw the first Hobbit movie with the high frame rate thing, and he leaned over to me and was like, "Jesus, this looks fucking terrible." And I was like, "Yeah, it fucking does." And then I tried in vain to fall asleep during that film, and it was too loud. I didn't care for that film. Anyway, back to the review. If anyone hasn't seen this, I would recommend essentially
pause this and
come back. The reason I say that is there is, if you haven't stopped now, there is a twist ending, but I had no idea about it when I went in.
No.
And there's a moment in it that really made me sit up on my seat. And if you don't know about that, you shouldn't before you. I'll tell you what it is when we get. You might already know. But
to be fair, like you shouldn't. I wouldn't be watching a movie podcast of a movie that I haven't seen.
Yeah,
do you know
exactly,
what I mean?
Yeah.
But just on the off chance that you are, it is a really good film, and not that we'll just gush about it, because I do think it has its issues as well. But just go and watch it because it's worth it.
Yeah,
and then come back and tell us what you think.
We'll come to that moment, but we'll get started. So So our main character, the idea is that he's a guy who, it's set in the near future. It's undefined in the film. Online it seems to say it's 2046.
Because I mean it's clearly, well, I wouldn't say it's clearly, it's only clear because obviously the opening scene it's kind of like a not a tracking shot.
Yeah, it's a Back to the Future-esque kind of a shot around the guys.
Yeah, and it's everything that's been made obsolete by technology is what you're seeing.
Yeah, he's a car mechanic who works on old-fashioned cars.
He has a record player playing his music. He has cash, which I thought was a nice
I didn't
touch,
notice that
because there's cash on the in like it looks like an ashtray type thing.
Okay.
Well, obviously we're becoming more and more a cashless society, so just even that's considered like old school. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. There's a decent enough commentary track by Leigh Whannell on this, and he says it was very consciously a nod to 80s movies. He's like, he's Australian. Do you remember when 80s movies started off? And the classic one is Back to the Future, which tracks around Doc Brown's office, and he does say
cats on the wall and stuff.
Yeah, he does. That is, I remember it so well. And it introduces like all the elements of the plot, like the plutonium and all this. He even says himself, yeah, well, it's, you have to make it a bit quicker. You have to do, and it's not as elaborate because it doesn't need to be. And
because I mean, at the end of the day, because you've heard me say this before, where I love an establishing shot or an opening where I learn pretty much everything I need to know, right? And the best films do it well, because you know what I mean. Even no matter how there's filmmakers out there that just don't understand that concept. Do you know what I mean? And they leave it up to exposition or talking to explain what the character is or what the setting you're about to enter is. Whereas Leigh Whannell massively here lets you know, right, this fella is clearly old school, for the want of a better way to put it. Do you know what I mean?
Even if it were set in the modern day, like he's little bit of a throwback. Like
because I think that's why it works. Because even though it's in the not so distant future, even that stuff now, or in 2018 when the film came out, was considered retro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those that you could maybe
even the neon sign is very 80s. Do you know what I mean? The Budweiser sign.
Yeah, and it's not obnoxious about it. It doesn't ever do.
It's just a second. It's just everything is just flowing.
Yeah, it does. Like the film is very influenced by 80s movies. Like he really mentioned the Terminator and RoboCop, but it doesn't do that thing of like nudge. Like the soundtrack doesn't really evoke that or anything.
Because I think it's an interesting way to open it as well, because when we're in his garage and he's fixing up the car and stuff, he does seem like a bit of a throwback, but we don't exactly know yet that this is a futuristic. It's not until we meet his wife that's in the driverless car.
I'd imagine now if the film had a bigger budget, he would have opened. So he opens up the garage door, and it is basically like the house is actually quite well chosen. It does look like it has a future vibe to it.
Yeah.
The reveal of it's really the future is his wife has a self-driving car. I'd imagine if this were a big studio thing, he'd open it up and it's like, like a
flying around,
like a huge city shot.
But it's really funny because the car that she's actually driving in is like a Ford Fiesta or something. Like it's an old
I can't remember the exact make, but he said on the commentary it was like a gutted like Honda. It was like a Honda Civic that they just.
It was the most old school looking car you could think of, and they just.
They do a fairly good job of.
I think really good, and especially the honeycomb. This is something that I didn't notice myself. It was pointed out to me through research, but it does make it is works really well. Is the honeycomb is not. If you look at it inside a beehive, the honeycomb is perfect. Do you know what I mean? That's as nature intended it. But the robot trying to create the AI, trying to create a natural looking thing, can't get the honeycomb perfect the way nature does.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Never noticed that,
No, I did. It didn't. I'll hold my hands up. I'm not going to pretend like I went. It was something that was pointed out to me. But it's a really nice detail, and there's a lot of these kind of little details throughout the whole film.
Yeah, I did really. The other thing is, it was a conscious design thing of the film. Does a lot of blending of nature with technology, because the theory being, the more technology takes over, the less nature there is. So they try and find a way to meld it.
And it's a great shot that's actually coming up fairly soon. Because I mean, obviously, right, we meet. Just long story short, we meet the two kind of what appear to be the main characters in the initial opening.
Yeah, so it's our man. It is an interesting name, Grey Trace. I want to say the guy said it sounds like a silly name, the director, but he knows someone with that name, or he knows someone with that first name and that last name. I will say, I won't say that this part of the film is weak, but I will say they have to set up that relationship so that you care about it. And other parts of the film are completely successful in that you go, no notes, amazing. It is a little perfunctory, I think. So it's you have to have them love each other. Yeah. And it isn't too over the top, but at the same, I felt it was a little by numbers. Not so much that it bothered me, because I'm a big fan of the genre of revenge action films. And it's good, but it isn't amazingly exceptional as some other parts of the film. It's not playing to the film's strengths.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, it sounds like very cold, but essentially, like, well, we need to set up that they love each other so that when she gets killed, it motivates. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they cast a good actress who doesn't seem to act very much, but she has that great look about her or something.
She's very. Look, I mean, I hate to diminish someone's performance, but she has an amazing supportive wife. Kind of vibe, and she does it really well. Now, I'd say that without trying to diminish anybody's performance or anything, or to say that like, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say the female characters in this are completely one-dimensional and only there to move the plot along, or placeholders. Do you know what I mean? But it's just because you, as a man watching that, you're like, that's what you want. Do you know what I mean? But if I want a better way to put it,
she was very well cast visually. I mean, again, I take your point there, but it like, you can say, oh, she's a one-note character. They do give her a little bit of stuff to do.
There is, because she does pop up throughout, like, do you know what I mean?
And the scene where she meets the tech guy, which we're coming to, which is very important. Yeah. She's kind of like nerd. Like, they give her a bit of character. I'm not going to say she's amazing or anything. Well, like, the actress plays it well. To be honest, she is there to serve a purpose. Yes. Like, the character is there to set up a revenge plot. Yeah. But what I will say, we're kind of jumping around here, but I was very impressed. And I subconsciously noticed it because I really did just watch the film and enjoy it the first time. The scene where they're attacked, we'll come back to more of the plot details later, but there's a montage of him dealing with being paralyzed. And then at the end of it, his mother's trimming his beard and he starts crying. And you never for a moment think he's crying because he's been paralyzed. You know he's crying about his wife. Yeah. And that is, it's an amalgamation of everything, but that points to me like this film works if you kind of backwards engineer that. You're like, and now maybe that was just me, but I
totally agree with you, because watching that you didn't go, oh my god, my life is over because I'm paralyzed. It's oh my god, my life is over because I've lost my wife.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it's you could maybe say it's a little by numbers or whatever, but like,
I think I have to say I don't think it's by numbers. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but because in that moment when you're watching it, it does hit the emotional beat that it needs.
That moment elevates when he breaks it down. A bit. The setup of the relationship. I don't actually. I'm cheapening it by saying it's by numbers. The craft is good. It's good enough that it kind of elevates it a bit. But if someone were to say, "Oh, I thought that was a bit," I go, "All right, well, I wouldn't die on the hill of arguing that." But
and I think. Sorry, you finish. It's a different point.
I wouldn't die on the hill, but at the same time, it works for me. But then I am a fan of the genre, but we'll kind of get into that. So
it should be pointed out as well that it's made clear in the scene when we meet his wife and they go in that he's a complete technophobe. Do you know what I mean? So it's and that's an important aspect to how it goes on.
And I really like how they made it a plot point later on.
100%. Because what happens is, he has the car that he's working on, that we've seen him working on, is going to Errol Kane, who's this kind of
very
typical
well cast, that actor, brilliant.
I'd argue that it's somewhat typical, the fucking autistic tech billionaire. Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
But we'll get to that because there's a point I want to make here, right? He signs his wife, because of the fact he's a technophobe, he signs his wife's death warrant himself. Because he forces her to come with him because he doesn't want to drive the car alone. Yeah. The self-driving car, because he's going to drive the manual car himself, and then he needs to get home. So, and because he refuses to get into that car without somebody else, he essentially signs his wife's...
Which we learn later has all been kind of algorithmically figured out, I will just point out, so we're getting to the scene where they pull up to that guy's place, and brilliant production design or choice of location. It's a completely natural area, but whatever, just visually it suggests like massive space and the wealth of this guy, even though it's just the natural landscape. And they kind of descend into the guy's house underneath this kind of Stonehenge looking thing, and apparently it was just like a hole that was like 5 foot deep. But genius, I was like, it just adds this production value to it.
Because it's like, because in the near future, where nature is less and less, the guy who's probably caused nature to be less and less out in the real world is trying his best
to live in this lifeboat. There's a really nice, so this is a scene where they meet the guy, and he's played by quite a young guy with bleach blonde kind of hair. I think playing into I would call it, I think you kind of said a stereotype, I'd call it a trope or an archetype, I think is the really nice word.
And essentially what it is, it's the autistic tech billionaire.
Yeah,
that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, you get it very quickly though, I will say. And I thought that guy played it very well. I did like when we first meet him. He's doing the cloud thing.
Yeah, Gray goes, what's that? And he goes, that's my cloud. Do you know what I mean? And then it's just okay.
Yeah, and it's just kind of expected you'll understand it.
Yeah,
I did notice on this watch, and I was very impressed by this. Now, this is really where we're getting into spoilers, folks. So he does look at the wife. The Erin, the tech guy, he looks at her, and there is like a flicker of, this is the person in front of me, and he obviously knows the details at this point.
I don't think he does though, does he? Because it's not until they show STEM chooses.
I saw a flicker in his eyes of regret when he saw her. Like but when I watched it this time, I did see the actor give a little thing of, it's you.
So it should be said. So they meet him, they give the car, and Asha, the wife, is very excited to meet him because he's the head of what's the name of the computer company? Vessel Computers.
Yeah, and she works for a crowd called Cobalt. That was a brilliant detail because the whole premise bases on, you think her company's up to no good. Yeah. So you kind of overlook the thing that comes important later on. And
she basically says that we're trying to do the same thing as Vessel, and he basically goes, no, you're not. And then
and he introduces them to the STEM. Yeah, it was just in terms of the wife character. I like how they give her, like, she's nervous to meet the guy. Yeah. She kind of self-deprecatingly says, "Oh, we're not as good as you." Yeah. She has a character. Like, she isn't just wife she is wife who's there to be killed, but they give her a scene to play here. You know?
Exactly.
And I like the way the guy. Apparently the premise wasn't strictly he was like autistic or whatever, though you could read it that way. I think the phrase they use is it's coded autistic. But
I heard that he was told, play it as if your parents allowed you to be raised by computers rather than...
Yeah, I heard the same thing, and I just really liked that actor's performance. I thought visually he was
very good. Now, would you believe, because I saw this maybe 3 years ago, and then watched it again a couple of times this week, right? I was convinced that the actor who played, from just memory, the actor who played Aaron was the actor who plays the Green Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man.
What's his
Andrew
name?
Garfield one.
Cure for Wellness. I can't remember his name. Yeah.
I was sure that was him.
Really?
Yeah. Just the way I remembered it. Like.
Yeah, they have kind of a similar look in the way he did the hair, and I can't remember that guy's name. He was miscast in a Luc Besson action film as like a fucking devil-may-care woman's man, and was not very successful. But so we get in then to like the classic revenge scene, or sorry, the classic revenge movie scene.
I'd almost say RoboCop-esque in terms of its...
Yeah.
I don't obviously, right. So basically, what happens is they then leave. They've been shown STEM and they leave, and
so they're introduced to this STEM thing, and he said it's going to do everything. It can do anything.
Yeah.
And then they're just off in the self-driving car and a bit of hanky-panky with them.
Yeah.
And then
the car grows a mind of its own and decides to take them way off the beaten track.
Into, Scumsville or
New Crown, I believe it's
New
called.
Crown, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And then it's a very well done scene. So this is what I mean, like when I say I'm a fan of the genre. Like the scene is a well executed version of the bad guys killed the wife and leave the hero for dead thing. I can see a critic who says it's just more of the same. So what if it's done better than the rest? I don't have that reaction. I say I like this kind of scene and I'm reacting well to someone taking the care to do it well. And there's some nice details to pay off later.
Because I think if this just randomly happens without a few key details that are given in this previous scenes, then a lot you're kind of going, well, what the fuck is going on here? Because of the fact that it's such a mad thing to happen. Like you've been in a car accident and then out of nowhere these guys show up and you know what I mean? But the fact that she works for Cobalt and it makes you go, okay, right, so there's something up here. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that they kill her makes you go, okay, so there's something up with her with her job.
Because they kill her first, and there's a really nice now it's kind of practical thing that they had to do, but it's shot in fairly long takes. So the scene where she gets shot, it's shot in such a way that it's a reveal later that the guy doesn't have a gun. His hand is a gun, and the camera kind of drops down with her, like it kind of puts you into that headspace of shock, and it drops kind of handheld, follows her down, and then you see Logan Marshall-Green's character Grey Trace in the background reacting to it. The film is shot with a lot of scenes like that where they put in it was very, very carefully planned out, and it really paid dividends. Like they got a lot out for a very low budget. Like even that scene is like the film never seemed to me to be struggling because of its budget.
Yeah. It's just because I have to be honest. Is you're looking at someone in Leigh Whannell who like made Saw and everything on shoestrings, like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So he's a very. We talk about the craft sometimes. He's very good at that side of it and planning and executing. Yeah, execution is key.
He put a lot of emphasis on the fact that they filmed in Australia, in Melbourne. And he says there's great crews there with experience on huge budget Hollywood movies that are kind of stuck between those big projects, so you can get them for your. And people do kind of underestimate how important to a good looking movie and experienced crew is. So for example, everyone kind of raves about Orson Welles' first film, Citizen Kane. He made it in Hollywood with the best technicians. If you watch his later films, there's a lot more editing because he couldn't do these elaborate technical long takes because the craftsmen just weren't there. He couldn't afford them. So it is, and he was very generous about it. He said, I didn't take a film by credit because I didn't just make it myself. But I do give him credit. You could tell he was pushing for things to be better, and he wasn't just going to accept, let's just do it as quick as we can. He puts in details of it doesn't seem like they're hiding something that you don't see the gun. It just seems like
you just assume that.
So then later you go, oh wow, okay.
And it should be pointed out here because this is one kind of issue, because I do think it's a solid screenplay. I do have an issue with. So essentially, who we learn is Fisk, the guy who shoots.
The wife.
He's doing this kind of monologue thing of you think I'm shit on the end of your shoe, and he's basically trying to explain to her that he's superior, right? And there's this, and then he obviously shoots her, and then it's kind of left at that. Now I'll swing back to that as we move on in the film, because I believe that's the start of a plot thread that I never really think finds its feet. This whole superior race thing.
Yeah, I see that differently, but I'll tell you why maybe. I will just point out as well. So one of the guys that is killed in the revenge thing, they're all there. Like he tracks those people down who were there to kill his wife. There's a guy, and it turns out it's actually that guy's brother. And they have a dynamic of brothers, like he's the guy during that scene who's like, put your fucking mask back on, asshole, do this, do that. There is like a brother kind of vibe to it, but I'll say a little more about that particular character. But it is just thoughtful and well done, and everything kind of connects together. So we follow that with I think that's the montage of him being
so it jumps to 3 months later, and we see him, and I think it really does because I mean, I think in total there might be like 2 locations in this whole montage.
Yeah.
And it really kind of it does its job of conveying the loneliness, and even though his mother's there, he's still alone, and I think it's a really strong montage.
I have the actress's name, Linda Cropper. Again, visually, she just looks like the mother of that kind of a guy, and the way they play it, and the nice dynamic of just, you can tell she's the only one who's there to look after her, and the vibe of, you're my son, whatever it takes. I think it's very quickly, so you don't have to be here all the time, Mom, and the way, just visually you see how much she cares about it.
But it's done so well. The craft of that is, without it, obviously we jumped 3 months, but without it telling you that this is over days or over weeks, you get the feeling, like, just with clever writing and just well shot.
Apparently during that I didn't necessarily notice it, which maybe is a good thing. The camera never moves during that bit to kind of tie it. They use the camera quite imaginatively and appropriately during this. That was there to put you in that headspace of a guy who couldn't move. And special credit to Logan Marshall-Green. Apparently, I've heard of the school a lot, but he went to Juilliard, which is like this famous acting school
in New York or something.
Leigh Whannell said, he acts from his head to his toes. There's like a behind the scenes thing I saw. So in the film, you kind of accept, like, it's quite convincing, but it's filmed in a certain way. I saw a behind the scenes thing just shot on what looked like a handycam of him acting as though he were quadriplegic in the chair. And it was uncanny how legit he looked.
It's a really good. One thing I'd point out here is the performance of the physical acting performance in this film is as good as any physical acting performance you'll see.
We'll go into that. He is extraordinary, but even the way, so he apparently worked with someone who was a quadriplegic, and you can see the research paid off, like the way his hands are, they're kind of gnarled up, and it just gives you that feeling of like, this is a real thing that happened to him. They don't really go, there's a few moments I think where he kind of lifts his head a bit, not necessarily in this scene, but like, it is a movie. Like if it were completely realistic,
he's not moving it. He's not even if he has feeling in his neck, the freedom of movement in his neck is going to be fairly depleted.
But it's, you can't push it that far that it's completely realistic. I don't think in a movie like this. If it were a drama film, it'd be maybe different. But in this, it's a lot of detail and effort put into it to make it work for this kind of a movie, and it really pays off. We'll go into where he really
shines.
Like fucking he's absolutely amazing later on.
And we'll get there quick enough, because he tries to, basically towards the end of the montage, he has robotic arms that help him with cooking food and preparing stuff, and they also have to give him his medication.
I just want to give a very quick touch. There was a really nice detail of when he's there, it's demonstrated how those robot arms work, and the little noise his mother makes, like, ooh, when they start working. It really just brought a reality home. It's little moments like that that I appreciate that they put them in, Yeah, so he tries to... He tries
to suicide by robot, I suppose, would be or unalived by robot for the algorithm.
Yes, for the algorithm,
yeah. But so essentially he needs his PM meds, and he gets it to go and go and go, and he ends up in hospital.
What I found interesting was that was after a scene where we're introduced to the police character officer, and you can kind of see he's really... I just thought it was a nice, not necessarily the way you would normally logically do it, where you see him in that scene being super motivated to find the guys.
Yeah.
And that's where his character ends, but it ends with the police officer saying, we're working on it. And then the next scene, which I think makes it more effective, is him trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
And I just thought that really sold the depression and like the hopelessness of it.
Because you can see that the thing that I like about it is he gets his meds, and the look, you see his eyes flicker, and it's not something he's pre-planned, or he's just going, hang on, I can do this, and I can do this right now.
Yeah, it's a really great... Maybe we'll just say a little about Logan. There's a film he's in called Uninvited, which is apparently what prompted Leigh Whannell to cast him. I had only seen him in Prometheus, which is a film I quite like. And I remember I think my wife was really into him, so I kind of had a bit of I didn't really like that at the
stand.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy with the shaved head and all this. Another thing that annoyed me was people said, oh, it's the Tom Hardy. He looks like Tom Hardy and it's kind of like Venom. And again, it came out. I find them, they're both white guys with brown hair, but I find them quite visually distinctive.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen Uninvited, and I've only seen him in one or two other things. But he is so good in this.
He's brilliant.
And like he is good in Prometheus. I was just a little bit kind of jealous.
Jaded,
at the time. He was this handsome bastard. And a friend of mine who works in stunts worked with him, and he had a lot of good things to say about him. His main comment that I remember was, he says, he could very well turn out to be an excellent director someday because he's very observant. And you can see the level of care he put into this character for a job that wouldn't have paid him
a whole lot, especially with the budget. It's 3 to 5 million. Like, he's not getting a lot.
He put a lot of effort in, which again though we'll cover later. So I mentioned this scene actually in our Naked Gun review, which is live, by the way, guys, just saying. There's a thing in that thing. So the hero's journey is this kind of theoretical work by a guy called Joseph Campbell. Stop me if I make a fool of myself. Or like and comment, subscribe and tell me below if I'm wrong. Where there's like all these steps in the classic journey, you know, from these successful stories, what makes it.
I mean, they beat it into your head when you're like, for anybody who doesn't know, me and Seamus went to film school, so it's one of them things that they beat. I could have recited each step about 2 years ago, but it's one of them things that if you're not practicing it, it goes like. So
a classic one is, and you'll notice it, is, you know, Rambo, we need your help. No, I don't think so. Think about it. Why don't they just have him say yes? This is because now it does work. That's why it's there, and that's why it's successful. And in this movie, he's a quadriplegic who is told. Actually, I kind of criticized it in Naked Gun, and I was once again talking out my arse. He's just tried to kill himself, and a guy comes in and he's like, I can make you walk again. And he quite logically says, what do I give a fuck?
Yeah, he goes, but he literally says, I'm not looking to get my life back. I'm looking for the off switch or whatever he says.
For the off switch, yeah. But it is the step, I believe, is called the refusal of the call. The call is the call to action, and this is the refusal of the call. And the scene works, but what's brilliant is when it's revealed later. Yeah, because the guy,
which we won't reveal just yet.
Yeah, but the guy you don't really notice it the first time, but maybe subconsciously you're like, that was rather insightful for that kind of a guy to say. And not only that though, but
the way it's played with the pauses, it suits the character. Do you know what I mean? So you forgive it. But then when all is revealed, you're like, now that's what. Exactly, do you know what I mean? It's very well, because it's very well, I suppose, thought out, for the want of a better way, but it's great writing, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, again, the thought and care put into it. And I will say, I remember watching this, and he commented on it in the commentary track when I said, so we just filmed this in an actual room, like in a hospital. And I remember not consciously noticing it, but subconsciously the first time I saw it, and it was like a relief of, they're actually just in a room. Like, nothing in this is fucking blue screen. Nothing in this is green screen. There isn't mad shit happening. It's just people talking in a room. It's so rare nowadays.
I know, because I mean, even I suppose it's a bit off topic, but just on the process of green screen and blue screen and everything. I don't know if you've heard of Secret Invasion, the MCU Disney Plus show, right? Okay, so there's a scene in that, right, where they have Samuel L. Jackson sitting with a green gun instead of a real prop gun against a green background with a stuff stuck to his face, so they'll superimpose the eye patch on later.
Yeah, like the most,
like, and that thing costs like something like 20 million an episode, and you wonder why, like, because you're like, instead of just give him a BB gun, put a fucking eye patch on him and paint the wall. Like, what's the big issue? Like,
it's something.
And so, but it's just, the reason I say it is because it is just nice when you look at a film and they're just in a room. Like,
what you see is what you get. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I tend to respond, like, for example, to like Quentin Tarantino and all this, and I'm very skeptical. And I think we again touched on it a bit in Naked Gun. When they do use fake gunshots in this, but there's a reason, because the gun's so close to the people's faces. But it just, even if it's done well, there's something not quite right about it. It was just, and it's not like the scene absolutely needed it, but I just remember it subconsciously being like, oh, thank God. Like, there was just something quaint about it, or something that kind of grabbed me. Like, who cares about that? It's about two people talking.
Yeah.
I really like how they do the surgery scene. You could
'cause
maybe say it's a little simplistic.
obviously,
Just drop the yoke in.
he denies it in force, but he hits him with the line, "What would she want?"
Yeah,
which
and they don't even show a reaction. They just show.
Yeah,
they
it
just
goes
cut to
straight into the surgery,
which is a good
which
move.
is good because I mean, at the end of the day, you'll hear me say about this film that it's a dying breed of film in terms of a kind of original 90-minute story. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't exist anymore, really. When you really think about it, like you might find them
for fuck all money.
You'll find them at film festivals and different things like that, but you have to seek them out. The gone of the days where you could just go to a cinema or you could go anywhere and see just a solid 90-minute good story.
I have to be honest as well. Like, I mean, if I sound like I'm above all this, I couldn't for the life of you tell me why I started watching it. Like, what made it jump out to me? I didn't even really like Saw. I did like the first.
I love Saw. I love the first Saw.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Like but I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I wasn't. I was still probably bitterly jealous about fucking Logan Marshall-Green. I must have heard. So I couldn't tell you why I clicked on it, but I did. And Jesus was like glad. That was one of the reasons where we're not spoiling. We'll spoil as we go along.
Yeah.
But it's really good if people take this as it is. So the score comes into its own here.
And it's really good. Because I wanted to bring that up. The score from here to the climax is fantastic.
It was done by one fella.
Yeah.
It has an epic yet futuristic feel.
And it's so subdued at times to then, and even there's not massive crescendos or, do you know what I mean? It's just so well made. Like.
Well, it carries just the way they raise the production value of the film. So the scene is, they're doing tests. Can you feel this? Because they've implanted it in the theory being, look, it can connect your brain to the rest of your body, which is that's been severed. It seems to be not working, but then his hand starts moving and the music is what makes it epic.
Yeah.
Like it does become this, oh my God, and the reactions of the tech guy and the nurse that are in the scene. And
because the nurse basically says, don't expect anything too soon. And then literally the next shot is, whoa.
Is him, and he can even stand up.
Yeah, because he stands up with the crutches and he walks for a minute and then he gets rid of the crutches and you're like, fantastic, right? It's walking.
It could have just been, that's a little convenient, but the fact they make such a surprise
like I just said a
characters.
second ago, it's a 90-minute film. You could have spent 10 minutes in which a lot of filmmakers, especially Netflix or those type of things, if it was being made for that market,
if it was a mini series,
it'd be a 15-minute him struggling to get used to it and all this type of stuff, and it's not needed for the narrative. What
makes it work is how surprised everyone is and how the music makes it seem like look what technology can do, and it gives it that epic. Can you believe this? Instead of it just being, well, that's awfully convenient. That doesn't even enter your mind.
You go with it because it's just very well done.
I will just say this film was released at the height of what you might call wokeness. So I came across an interview where the guy was like, oh, yeah, I know, of course, you would want to be respectful to quadriplegics and you wouldn't want them to feel like they're any less or anything. And Leigh Whannell was very polite about it. But if someone were paralyzed in an accident, I think I could be. Look, I don't want to upset anyone either who might be listening to this, and you never know who's listening. So it could be someone in that situation, could be someone with a family member, but like the guy in this movie, it's a good thing that this is happening to him. Do you know what I mean? I was really rolling my eyes at that when he was Vulture or something that came up in, and I was like, oh my God, okay, we get it. You're a great guy, but it was something that he had to answer for at the time, and he was very polite. He is quite right on, Leigh Whannell. Like when I said that about the Invisible Man, like that tips a little bit too much over into not politicking, but like kind of, hey, isn't it obvious what social issues we're touching on here? Whereas this touches on them a bit more deftly, I would say. But I just found it kind of ludicrous. Like, so I have to apologize. I have to be kind of tiptoeing around the message of this scene. Anyway. So do you know what I really liked? So we see him, and this is the first bit where we get to see him do the physical thing where he's running,
which is amazing. But the piece of direction that I heard Leigh Whannell gave him is, I want your head to not know what your body is doing. And when you hear that, because you obviously look at it and it looks cool, because this is also where we introduce the different camera rigs and stuff, which we can kind of go into as well.
Yeah.
Because basically, essentially what it is, they use an Omega rig and an Arri Alexa thing, but there's an iPhone attached
locked
to the
off
actor.
to an iPhone or something.
Yeah, so it's tracking the gyroscope inside the iPhone, which is attached to Logan
Marshall-Green. Yeah. If the only example I can really think of that people might really remember of exactly what we're talking about, basically the center point of the camera is like fixed to a certain point on his back, so the camera seems to be moving exactly with him. The scene that I remember, although it's an old movie now, is the second Sherlock Holmes film. There's a scene where they're running through the forest and they use a similar effect. I just found that particularly memorable. If people have seen that might kind of conjure it up to you. What I really like is so that you see him and he, it's like, oh, and he can walk again. And then he goes home, and the way he plays it, he's already kind of taken it for granted.
Yeah.
Just the way because he's just kind of sitting down. And he's like flicking through these things that the detective sent him. Like he's over it already.
Yeah. Because we do see him. We see him come into the apartment or the house in the wheelchair, and then he's just straight up as soon as the door closes.
Yeah, I just again maybe it was like I have to say I was impressed. The first time I saw it, I didn't. It was obviously there, and it probably had a subconscious effect. If you'd have said to me, did you notice the way his head is separated from the body? Because they never say it. He acts that way. I wouldn't have noticed. And when I heard that was something they really put thought into, I was like, that's genius.
What a piece of direction. Like.
Yeah, like how clever to think of it.
But to have... Because, I mean, obviously, it's really hard to make a film. Mm-hmm. A lot of thought goes into it. And, like, everything you see on screen is a plan. Do you know what I mean? But to have that kind of forethought from probably very early on in the... Because I remember I saw an interview with Leigh Whannell, and he's explaining that he was in pre-production in Australia, and he was emailing back and forth with Logan Marshall-Green about, and he's sending him videos about how to do it and everything. Like, and so that was very early on. So to have that forethought of this is how I want to look. I mean, I suppose you could say, well, that's a director's job, but it's
well, like
credit where credit's due. Is what I'm trying to say. Like,
you could just make the case, for example, like imagine being the director and the producer just goes, why are we wasting all that? Like if it's connecting his head to his body, why can't it just all work? Like you can, if you wanted to have that in the film, you could just have a line of dialogue. But I think
again, this is another kind of plot point. Whereas the fact is that it's not actually him doing anything, it's the robot.
Yeah, well, it speaks to how well he knew his own script, and it's not just, realism for, wouldn't it be cool if we did it?
And I called him a robot, he's not a robot. But.
Yeah, well, you can be forgiven. What I found interesting was, so the way he moves is very smooth. And RoboCop was mentioned as to bring it to the robot thing. And I heard Logan Marshall-Green use it, and I'm not hugely familiar with these terms, folks, but apparently on RoboCop, the original idea was to have him move as smoothly as Logan Marshall-Green does in this. I think it's called legato or something like that. I could be wrong. And apparently they had a movement coach on that, similar to what they had on this. And then the suit showed up and they were like, oh, fuck me. Like, he can't even move in this. And apparently the movement coach was like, it's no longer legato, it's staccato, which is what gives RoboCop that distinctive look. Yeah. So with this, because they didn't have the suit and all this, so this, if you're interested, like this could have potentially been what RoboCop would have moved like. And I found it great that he was thinking in musical terms. And there is a video on YouTube of him kind of practicing, and it's so impressive. Like I really, my hat's off to the guy.
Because like obviously at this stage you should have definitely seen the film. But for if you're this far and you still haven't, essentially what's happening is his body is moving, he is walking, but his head isn't. It's like his head is stationary. If that makes any sense. I'm not doing it justice.
And what's brilliant, he has absolutely pitch perfect posture when he is stem, and he's kind of hunched over before. You wouldn't even notice it, but it's there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's never really commented on by anyone else, but it's always there, and it would have been a huge amount of effort for him as a performer. Make sure you're doing that every time, every movement. Keep your back totally straight. Your arms are moving. Like, how would a computer move your body? So this is the scene
where we...
So he goes through, so somewhat unrealistically, the detective has sent him like nearly every bit of evidence
that they have. I don't know how I don't like that's it, but that's one of them things that can be forgiven. Like.
Yeah, like I only would notice it because we're talking about it. So he's watching a video of it, and this
that is actually very weird that every shred of evidence is being sent to him.
Been sent to him. But this is the scene where I was enjoying the film. This is the scene that made me sit up in my seat and go, "Holy fuck!" Is when the fucking thing starts speaking to him.
Yeah.
I shit a fucking brick. I don't know why. The film had me now.
Yeah.
But when it did that,
it took it to a different level.
I that's why I will only ever say to someone, watch that film and thank me later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
The best thing that happened to me in regards to this film was the fact that I got because I was told about... Oh, he gets paralyzed and he's upgraded. He gets $6 million man. I was not told. I was not told that. And similar to you, when that happens, you're like, because it's half an hour, 40 minutes in, you're like...
I was actually, I was watching it with the timer on the Blu-ray, and I was like, oh my God, is it actually going to happen at exactly 30 minutes? But it's like 30 minutes and 3 seconds or something. Yeah. But I just remember like, oh, whoa, where are we going here? Yeah. Because I went in cold and I did not know that, and that made it a different film.
It was awesome.
That is a different film. Like, where is this film going now?
And the fact that it's just... The thing that I love about it is when... Because obviously he starts talking to him. And there's this whole, am I going insane thing? But it's just stone silent room. It's just him in a room on his own talking. And there's no music to tell you how to feel about it. And you need to just be as confused as he is. And it works really well. And I love the fact where he goes, no, just, don't talk. And then he asks him a question. And then there's a big long pause. And then he goes, no, you can talk if I ask you something. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, what's genius about it is, and the film's metaphor of the reliance of technology is once it starts talking, if it doesn't talk, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Once you need it there, like he doesn't want it to shut
once it's been established, it's like, hang on, I'm freaked out, but I don't stop talking to me, like.
That's what. Now I will say. So okay, I'll try not to be too pretentious about this, but the film's message about over reliance on technology. Okay. It's not the most original thing. So the thinking behind it, you could maybe say, oh, I'll tune into fucking Joe Rogan. What is brilliant is not what it says. What's brilliant is how it dramatizes it, how it makes you see it through a dramatic lens, through an artistic lens. That is the genius of it. Like Jurassic Park had basically the same message. It wouldn't be my favorite Spielberg, but Jurassic Park is amazing. This film dramatizes that better because it does just dramatize it. There are a few little bits. There's one moment where I'm like, they could have toned back that particular line of dialogue. But I saw this first, when I got the Blu-ray, watched it. The next fucking morning, I'm not making this up, I turned on the Spotify DJ on my phone as I'm driving, and it goes, hey Seamus, and I fucking freaked out, man. And I was like, here it is. Like the film predicted this, man, and it's.
But you're even in earlier scenes, like this a bit of an aside, but the film was written essentially in 2011, 2012, like years before Alexa and all this. But Leigh Whannell had the forethought to go, this is what it's going to be like, and it's essentially that, like. Do you know what I mean?
What's great?
Not the STEM thing, but the fact that every house that you're in, or is everybody talking to the walls, like. Yeah, if this had came out that early before that, people would have been like, people would have said, "Oh no, should we?" And then a few years later,
it was nearly like some of the critic reviews I read were kind of like, it's a bit old hat, isn't it? And I was like, no, you're just fucking living in a very bad state.
Yeah.
You think, what's the big deal? I'm like, well, so what do you know now? So the STEM starts talking because he notices that the guy has an implanted gun in his hand. So these guys are like super soldiers.
This is the first time you see it, because as we discussed previously, it looks like he was just shot. But essentially, STEM explains to Gray that, no, look closely. Now, this kind of annoyed me a bit.
Oh.
Because are you telling me that the police and did not see that he didn't have a gun?
With that, I'll give you.
Do you know what I mean?
I'll give you that. Yeah,
I get that Gray is seeing this for the first time, and it's being pointed out to him because he's not looking for that, because you just assume. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you look at it this way, the police have looked at this for fucking thousands of hours, probably.
You've got a point there. Yeah.
And they haven't noticed that he's not shooting the gun. Like.
Well, I want to ask you about this now. So that I'll just have to kind of grant you that. Them notices the tattoo on the guy's hand, and that leads us to our first action scene.
Yeah.
So they chose another good location. It's in a shitty area of the USA that doesn't need to look futuristic. He breaks into this guy's house it's a classic scene of the guy leaves, he breaks in, except he's a thing in his head that's speaking to him and telling him what to do, and he's checking the messages. Then the guy comes back, and this was the second time within 10 minutes where I sat up on my seat and I was like,
this is
holy
good.
Fuck. The guy sees him and what I really like actually is they really humanize that guy. he has pictures from his kid on the fridge.
Yeah.
And he is genuinely like, what are you shouldn't be here. What are you doing here? And he's like, that wasn't me. I didn't do it. He's not happy about, he wasn't happy about that job.
He just had to be there. Like, do you know what I mean? So essentially what happens is this is where the kind of choreography and the body movement really comes into its own for the first time.
Yeah, it is like, amazing.
Like Gray's physical movement coupled with fantastic camera work. Yeah. And it just makes for such well, first of all, the fight is so well choreographed. It's like, and it makes sense because if you Leigh Whannell had said that it was very like ballet, more so about the art of dance rather than the fight. Yeah, and I think it works
He said that now, just so everyone knows, if I were someone asked me the other day, like, what's the area of cinema you know most about? I would have to say Hong Kong action cinema. And I'm one of these annoying nerds who like really is into it and knows what all this is. But Leigh Whannell gets it. He said the camera should not be doing anything interesting. The fight should be interesting. Now he has his cake and eats it too, because the camera does do something interesting here.
It's following,
but it isn't replacing. It's following the action. The action. The camera's not driving the action. The action is driving the camera. Yeah. It is, and when I really sat up on my seat, this is what I love about in action movies is in a moment the world becomes very simple. It's like, okay, I'm going to decide to kill this person or kick their ass. Yeah. Okay, now I have the ability to do it. And it's one of the best I've ever seen. It's essentially like the Popeye eating the spinach moment.
Because basically what's happening is, right, so Stem is doing his best in the scene to
advise him.
To basically tell him what to do. But he needs to forego control.
So
he needs to give Stem complete control.
Permission to take over his body, and the way they do it.
And the second, because you hear the zoom.
So even the way they do it,
because his back, like you said, his back straightens up, and he
goes like, Stem, he goes, I need your permission. He goes, but the way he does it, he's being choked, and he goes, permission, and there's a little pause. He goes, granted, and they have that sound effect like and it is like Popeye and the spinach, and you're like, now we're fucking.
And then because that's when the fight really takes. It's like I'm struggling to find the words without just. It's just awesome. It's just awesome filmmaking. It is true.
Yeah, well, everything about it is brilliant. But Logan Marshall-Green deserves the keys to fucking heaven. Because there's so many.
Now, obviously, you have fight coordinators and stunt coordinators and all who wouldn't probably get the plaudits from a general audience, but it has to be said that like every box is ticked. Like there's a part where he gets swung at and Stem moves his head. Do you know what I mean?
Which is not a big thing is made of it, but it's there. And it's important.
And you notice it and you see it, and it's just because, and then like, and it's just really funny because, again, it's just a fantastic acting performance because he's like, oh my God, he has a knife, and it's like, but your body's not doing the same thing. Well, it's really hard.
His head is reacting to what his body is doing, and it's so beautiful.
Because it's just like. I think we could get bogged down here and just gush about how good this is.
Well, I will say a word. So I've had some experience working, with action scenes and stuff like this. We won't link to any of my short films, but I've worked with a fight coordinator before, and he's the guy I mentioned that she's a very good friend of mine. The stunt guys absolutely, as you say, deserve the plaudits. I would have to say that the person I think deserves the most credit, I would actually put equal Logan Marshall-Green. Leigh Whannell would have been the person saying, okay, and he did make a big thing of it. I quite like him, actually. He comes off very modest, but he was the one who drove that idea of, because look, it's just natural. You go to a stunt guy and you're like, okay, he's like a robot guy who beats the shit out of people. They might do a very good job, but they wouldn't necessarily give you the depth of thought to this. And my friend who works in fight choreography says, that's the touch of the director. Like I was working with him and I said, oh, we have a POV shot here. Would we have the guy's hands come out? And he goes, yeah, that's nice. That's a nice kind of directorial touch. His job is to do the punching and kicking very well, which they do very well. It's the director's job to be like, we're not just doing that though. We're, they're the ones who have to push for it to be elevated, and they just really nail it with this. And I love the payoff, the really gory payoff of the guy's head nearly fucking puts the knife in his mouth
and pulls it.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then the thing that I love is Stem gives back control to thing almost immediately after that, and then you see like his visceral reaction to what's just after happening, because then you realise, hang on, he's not doing this. Do you know what I mean? Because it can take a while for your own brain to catch up. So hang on, right? So the robot is helping him to move, but then he's given complete control. So he's not doing anything. He's just a passenger in his own mind.
So completely set. His physical performance really sells it, and the humor of him being like, "Oh God, just stay down, man. Just stay down. Come on, man. Don't do it. Don't do it." Yeah. Just brilliant. It's I really do think like the only thing you might say, like someone who is a big action fan might say, there's no kicks in any of the fights. That is something that you have to be looking at it going, oh, did they do any kicks? Because Logan Marshall, like it's I would imagine easier to work with the top half of your body than do a high kick or whatever like that. You don't notice it. It doesn't matter.
It didn't bother me. I genuinely didn't.
It's just maybe the kind of thing
because it's so well choreographed. Like the whole hand-to-hand combat.
The fluidity of it and how intricate it is.
And I don't even think, because I mean, as much as we've gushed about this scene, I don't think this is the best one. There's one to come.
No, I don't. I would agree. Yeah, I just say that because people who are really into this, like I've had conversation. I really like the action scenes. That's karate. Fuck that shit. And I'm like, oh, all right, look pretty good to me. Like it's just like one of those things that you're like, okay, you want to pick something apart on a really minute level.
Yeah, but it's just one of them things. So if someone's an expert at something, do you know what I mean? Whether that be a martial art or that, and then they feel, but I'm not an expert in martial arts. I can appreciate. I don't care if he's doing jiu-jitsu and karate, and you wouldn't do that. They're two different things. Do you know what I mean? I just like that it looks good.
Yeah, the wine snob who won't, who fucking needs the $1 million bottle of wine. Or
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So lovely payoff to that. His horror background, Leigh Whannell,
definitely comes out
paying off
because it's a really graphic. Like it's just, it's like, and it's practical as well. So that's the thing that I like about it, because it's not special effects around. So essentially what it is, he gets the knife and he pulls it back into his face, and he essentially cuts his head in half. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Gives him a big smile, and
it's the kind of thing that when I was always like, oh yeah,
that was great. Because it's just because I mean, you don't want to think like come across like a fucking weirdo, but like it's those type of things. A good kill in a film, it's just like
Well, the good thing is what you kind of have again. You have your cake and eat it too. The guy is set up as like he's not the worst of them, but at the same time,
it's a horrible death. Horrible,
exciting, and you're like, you look, man, you went along, fuck you.
And at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, like, I wasn't thinking, I wasn't listening to what the character had to say about, it wasn't me, man, and all this. Like, I was like, you killed his fucking wife. Whether you pull the trigger or not, you killed his wife.
No, it's something that just kind of pays off on reviewing, but like, it's always kind of there. But in the moment, you're just like, yeah, man, fuck him up. Like a real kind of, it's an action movie. Like it isn't. I think it elevates things, but it is just an action movie. That's a revenge action movie. That's very, very satisfying.
After this kind of fantastic scene, I believe it's Cortez.
Yeah, the detective then.
Detective Cortez.
She's obviously like a fair play. You are kind of like rooting against the character, but she never becomes like someone you dislike.
No, I think she's a solid actress.
Very good actress. Yeah. She was in Get Out.
Get Out. Yeah, it's the maid. She's very good in that as well.
Yeah, very good. Very likable. You do kind of root against her because obviously you want your man to be like, what do you fucking find the guy's killed his wife? What do you? And like you do kind of go. She's some confidence in herself. She's like, maybe. Do you know what? But
this is a point I wanted to make that I forgot to. But it should be noted as well, because obviously the film is very much about our over reliance on technology. But it also is they have all this technology and they still can't find the people. So you can have everything in the world, and that's and it's something that needs to be said. Because as we progress now, she views drone footage and she sees Gray in the area, and she's like, "Well, hang on." Now she puts him into the database as a potential suspect, and the computer tells her no, he's a paraplegic. And because it should be noted that it said that Gray says earlier on in the film that computers can't do everything a human can, and it is her human ingenuity that will not let the computer says no. But she goes, I don't know how, because you're a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. But you're involved in this.
Yeah, there's something fishy like.
And it goes. All the technology in the world, you still need that human ingenuity, and I think that's just very clever writing to have those kind of.
I hadn't even really thought of it, and she does say earlier, like I'm a hands-on kind of person. Hands-on person myself. Yeah. Yeah, geez, I hadn't really considered it, but again, it's just that night. I think later on she does kind of say you're involved somehow. You can pay someone off, but you can tell that's not really she. That's kind of her justifying it to herself.
Yeah.
She thinks
you're standing up. You're doing something.
Yeah, there's something fishy here. What I like next, so we get into another
very funny
revenge-o-matic scene.
Yeah, I think this is hilarious.
Tarantino comes in it. Yeah, he's gotten cocky now,
yeah.
which I really like.
Yeah.
He goes into this real rough and tumble bar.
We can say to the point where Stem says, I can't find this anywhere on the internet. And he goes, you won't find it anywhere on the internet.
Yeah,
this is not that kind of a
place. Yeah, so the place was full of apparently real extras who were body modification people and all this.
Yeah.
And he goes in and he kind of does the big speech of, anyone here kill my wife?
Yeah.
Fucking this.
No, but even when he goes in, he orders the drink and your man puts the straw in it. And he's like, yeah, can you just hold that so I can drink it?
Yeah, he's becoming like very cocky and kind of he knows now, well, I can kill all of you. Like, I just have to ask my friend here in my neck to do it. I do love the logic of it because you have to get to it quickly, and they just make the guy who stands up. So he basically says, "Here, is anyone here?"
Cirque or something, is it?
Yeah, I just killed this guy, and a guy stands up, and they make him the greatest fucking wanker ever. Like the kind of guy who would just is like, "I'm going to beat the shit out of this quadriplegic, and everyone can know about it. I don't care."
And because essentially, so the character stands up and goes, yeah, I know who we are, and yes, you killed my associate or whatever. And he tells the barman to turn up the music and wheels him into the bathroom.
Yeah, with 3 other fellas or something like that. Yeah.
And this is where, so basically what happens is they're attempting to torture him by stabbing him in the leg and everything. And I think it's a really nice kind of, really dark. Where, at what point do you start feeling? Yeah. And he's running up him with the knife, and it's like, there, and he. I think that's because it's a real. Because obviously, like I said, it's a 90-minute film. You need to do things quick, okay? Because it is a big story to tell if you want to tell it well. But just that little detail, because this fella is a sadistic prick.
Yeah, and he's clever as well.
And he's taking joy in he's really reveling in the. Because at this stage he believes that he's a paraplegic because he's after stabbing him in the leg, so he's getting cocky and dark, and it's just like the transition here from Gray's control to Stem's control is very good.
Yeah, it's something that people were saying to Leigh Whannell, you've the horror background, or there's similarities, and he says, well, and this scene really plays on it. There's like suspense, catharsis, or he used another word for suspense, but it builds, and then. I tend to love action. Luc Besson does this very well, where it's like, okay, I've made the decision and it's over in an instant. Or this actually, the scene is a little protracted, but once he kind of leaps up, it's just straight to business. There's no kind of fucking around. It's just, all right, let's take care of this. And again, but this time he's cockier and he's not like, oh God. Now he still can't bring himself.
Yeah, because he's telling him. Because he says to him, "Oh, you didn't know I was a fucking ninja and all this."
And he's actually kind of taunting them.
I didn't forget about you. Don't worry.
I forgot about you.
Yeah, and then but you hear the thing that I think is really good is you hear Stem go, "Don't get cocky or overconfident or something."
Yeah. Brilliant. And then he still doesn't quite have the stomach to torture the guy, so he like slices his face.
And here's an interesting point, right? So basically, up until this point, we've established that Stem needs permission to take control. And it gives you the idea that Gray is ultimately in control because he can tell him to stop. One thing that I thought was interesting is, so obviously Gray can't torture him. He can't bring himself to do it. So he has to give permission to Stem to cut him up, which he does. And Gray looks away, but he tells him to stop, and he doesn't stop.
Noticed, yeah.
He goes for another 2 or 3 seconds to the point where Gray has to go, stop!
Yeah, and he goes too far because the guy ends up dying before he can really...
So he really fucks him up, essentially.
Jeez, I hadn't noticed,
so it's showing you the first signs of ultimately that you don't actually have the control you think you do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they throw in another nice detail in it just from a plot point of view of the guy has cobalt technology, the thing his wife had. So again, you're building in your mind.
But you see, because it's almost like a misdirect. Because then you're thinking, right, so this has something to do with her job.
Yeah, because they just layered that in just enough that you're like, that could be
it's not hitting you over the head with it, but it's just like,
that could be them. Like it kind of leads you down that path.
Because you see her having and again, like you could be forgiven for forgetting this, but she's arguing with someone from her job at the start of the film.
Yeah, so
and they're cobalt. technologies or whatever. And so your brain automatically goes, okay, so someone wanted or gone, or someone...
Good, it's brilliant misdirection.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So we forgot to mention that the tech guy kind of knows what he's up to.
Oh yeah, and he's trying to shut him down.
There's a thinking that he's going to shut him down, so he's like, okay, you have to get out of there.
But the thing that annoys, this is another one of them things, is, as I said, as much as I love the film, it does have its issues. Why didn't they just go to the hacker first? Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, that's not something that would ever enter my mind.
No, it entered my mind. I went like, hang on for a second. You wait till the worst possible time when he's physically, when he's actually...
Yeah. You could maybe, this would be complete, like justifying it after the fact. You could maybe make the case that Gray wouldn't have gone, or he would have, like, he's under a lot of pressure. He doesn't ask any questions when he gets there. So you could maybe make the, 4-dimensional chess kind of a thing. But I kind of take your point, yeah.
I think it is just, I think it's just something... Like it just, I went, well, why didn't he not just go before he went to the bar?
It's so we're coming up to a scene that I think will kind of illustrate maybe a difference in liking something that you don't like and that I do like. But before, I just want to give a little thing. So he's told like, okay, we have to get to this apartment very, very quickly. So there's a scene where he does exit the bar on his wheelchair, but then he gets outside and says like, no, we have to run. There's a lot I love in this scene, but there's another guy in a wheelchair there, and Logan Marshall-Green just stands up out of his chair and he goes, Keep an eye on her, will you, buddy? And he runs off. And the sound of his footsteps when he's running, I can't explain it. It just sounds like how someone who's not running, it's like really rhythmic, like...
Yeah.
There's just, and the way he keeps his head dead straight, and there's just something about it.
It's like
that attention to detail, because that wouldn't be the
almost like,
you know?
wait, how do they manage this with special effects? That's how good it is. You're like, well, this can't be physical.
And how did they choose the exact right sound effects? Because it's not just, because a friend of mine actually said, I like the podcast, maybe you could explain more. Like, they do not just use the footsteps that actually happened when he was there. They have to put them in.
Yeah, it's all Foley.
They
Foley
chose it. There's just something about it though, like man, these guys were paying attention to everything.
And then there's a funny little aside where the guy goes, "You faker," and then he stands up and gets into his joke, and he's like, "Oh, this is a nice one."
Yeah. So now, before we get to the hacker scene, this is a scene that I actually think I really like, something that you aren't a huge fan of. So, although I think I'll concede a point, but I'll say I like it for another reason.
Yeah.
So the main villains show up again, and they go into the bathroom and they see that the guy is dead, and all the guys are dead. And they get the information of where Gray is going.
Because it's the last 5 seconds of your man's...
Yeah, and the way these guys are cybernetically, I think is the word, enhanced, so they can read information from the guys. He has a retinal
so essentially, a needle comes out, he puts it into his eye, and then he gets his memories.
And then they go out to the barman, and they're like, I'm a little unclear here. You just let our friends be... And instead of just saying, hey man, how the fuck am I to know they're quadriplegic? He just kind of demurs and he's like, oh, it's not my job, but I'll clean it up. Now, the villain in this, I think the race thing, I don't think it's bad, but I don't dislike it, I think, as much as you. That's less important to me than... I think it's a critique of, like, a certain type of military mindset. And it's actually not even just a military. You see it a lot in like kind of, God help me, masculine kind of cultures and all this.
The manosphere.
Yeah, well, this kind of thing of, that guy's my friend and you didn't help him. You're my enemy, unquestioningly, no matter how reasonable what you did is. And I've seen it. There's a guy called Jocko Willink who has I actually kind of like him.
Ex-Navy SEAL.
Yeah, and I've listened to a few of his podcasts, and like he has some guys on who are usually military people, and he has a lot of guys on. I'm like, that sounds like a cool guy. And then there's some people on who I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Because you see, like, there's a funny TikTok kind of rabbit hole you can go down to of another white guy with a podcast. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like some of the most ridiculous, like fellas sitting there, dead serious. When I walk into a room. People know I will eat them if I need to, and they're saying it. They're not winking at the camera. They're saying that, trying to portray this.
If that's how you, I think in particular now there were two guys on it. Actually, I won't talk about one of them because he was very badly injured. So you can maybe say like that was it. But there was a guy on who said he was in Vietnam and he said I went to the funeral of one of my guys and the chaplain mispronounced his name. I never went to another service if he couldn't show that level of, and I'm like, all right, well, like it just spoke to a certain kind of a mindset of like, it's us against the world. And I'm not even going to ask why that happened. It doesn't matter. And this guy is, I find his performance, the actor's name
Benedict
is
Hardy.
Benedict Hardy. And I've only ever seen him in Invisible Man after this. I think he's brilliant. And
he's very good in it.
He captures that idea of a guy, like, because you see it in, like, guys who are like, sure, I was on a night out with a guy, and I knew one guy and I didn't know his friend. And his friend was coming on to this girl, and we were in this little taxi company thing, it was down the country. And he was coming on to this girl who was there with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend was like, "What are you doing? Stop chatting up my missus." Like, and the guy with the girlfriend was kind of looking at me like, what's with this guy? And I was like, yeah, you're right. And my friend the next day he was like, "You were awful nice to that guy, and I would have just punched him in the mouth." And I was like, "Who do you mean?" He meant the fucking boyfriend. And I was like, I'm sorry, like, your friend is the villain in that story.
Yeah.
But he did not see it that way. And this guy embodies that real creepy, like, it doesn't matter. The race thing doesn't carry quite as well, but
because I just think it's a plot. I do take your point of that as a character kind of a character point. But there seems to be this thing, and it'll come up now as well. In the so obviously while that's happening in the bar, the
Gray is on the way to the and Stem is kind of shutting down as he goes.
Yeah, because Aaron is successfully hacking or shutting him down remotely. So he gets to the hackerspace, and obviously there's the obvious thing where they're all on VR and they're like, well, the real world isn't as...
Yeah, that was the scene that I just want to give a quick shout out. So he shows up in this real rundown, kind of like very dilapidated apartment building. They put these kind of glow sticks on the floor, which just gives it a kind of a higher budget, kind of like it looks designed, and it just was a nice little visual.
Because really, it's just a shithole apartment with no furniture, like.
But it just gave it that little visual interest, and it kind of seemed plausible. However, kind of strange it is. So why would they be there? So this is a scene that I think, and I do like Leigh Whannell, and he's very funny on the commentary. In this scene, there's a little moment that I'm like, you're kind of letting your political things get it. So the hacker is a non-binary actor. The pronouns are they. I think. I can't remember the actors, if that's quite the right word I want, name. But he does don't ask my gender. And what I like, actually, the scene does play, because Gray is just like, wasn't going to. He's like, I don't care, like, I'm about to die. Like, would you hurry the fuck up? But there's a weird moment where you go, my name isn't Jamie, and then the character goes, you're the one trying to put me in a binary box. And I was like, no. When did he do that? I just felt like that was a little moment, but then there was... Again, it doesn't get away with him, because there's a bit where he goes, okay, artist hacker formerly known as Jamie. Which is just what the guy would say in that moment. I do love the aesthetic, and that the choice of actor is very good. It plausibly looks like someone who's
a hacker.
Who was like,
Now, it should be said, so this is intercut with the scene back at the bar. Now, this, after we establish we meet Jamie, this was almost an here lads moment.
Okay.
When Benedict Hardy sneezes, and the little fucking nanoids go into your man's brain.
I have to be honest. I found that very effective. I
forgave it.
Yeah.
But again, that's where it leads into I take your point about the military thing, about that part. But now it's, I'm a superior. I'm a this, that, and the other thing. And again, I don't think there's enough done with that. It's alluded to multiple times. And I'm not sure if that's the strongest plot point of the film, like, where you go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because you'd need to flesh that out more for me. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, as well, is obviously we do see Cirque in the previous scene where he gets tortured and killed, and we see the fella but they don't really have character arcs, whereas this guy does. Fisk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's more to him, yeah.
Whereas maybe it's overkill, but maybe a conversation between the three of them where they're at a meeting. Do you know what I mean? Of the superior.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I could see that.
I just don't think there's enough done with it. But it keeps being alluded to throughout, because now what happens is they go to the apartment, so they've successfully hacked.
Yeah, the one bit, and you actually kind of quoted it earlier, the one bit that I was like, they should have rewritten that to make it less obvious, because there's people on VR, and he goes, why anyone would want to live in a fake world is beyond me. And what saves it is the Jamie character says, the fake world is a lot less painful than the real world, which is ultimately what pays off later. I just thought they should have rewritten the line to something simpler, like why would you want to live in a fake world? But he says it like a little too on the nose of why anyone would want to. But again, the scene is the tension is really good.
Because they're coming up the stairs and he's
the only other scene I've ever seen in an action film that I thought was equally as tense, just in terms of fuck, like these guys are coming and you've no control over is. Do you remember the scene in Die Hard 2 where he's stuck under the grate and the plane's coming towards him?
Yeah.
Every time I see that's actually a little better because I've seen that like a million times and it still is tense. But this is equally as tense, the way the guys are coming and he is fucked. And it really speaks to the premise of the film and how I think they dramatize the thesis of the film so well. We can all sit here all day and be like, oh, it's terrible, you know, this is controlling him and all this. He can't even fucking move without that thing. He's nothing now without it. And with all apologies to people might be quadriplegic. But what are we? How can we even function? Would we want to function without even our phones? Leave that aside, like any technology. That's what makes it so powerful is the admission of you need this thing or what are you?
Yeah.
But it's going to destroy you ultimately. That's what I mean when I say it dramatizes the idea so well. Whether the idea is original or not, which is not, the dramatization of it is what makes this film exceptional.
And it should be pointed out as well, Jamie mentions, which I think is because of the fact that the whole superior race thing is not fleshed out enough. She says we can't let them win.
Can't let them win.
And it's like, who win?
You know what? I actually, this is what I mean. When someone asked me once, why did you like Grand Budapest Hotel? And I was like, that film had me in the first 2 minutes and I can't tell you why. This film just had me. When the character said that, I was like, who's they? I want to know. That is just my reaction to it. No,
genuinely, when she said it, I wasn't angry at it. But ultimately, it comes to nothing, in my opinion. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't really disagree. I would just see it as more giving the villains a little bit of colour and character as opposed to being a plot thread.
Maybe I'm just being too harsh on it.
But they do have, I think, the greatest Popeye moment in the story.
Chase scene.
Where, the bit at the chase scene is brilliant, but at the beginning of it where he goes, STEM, and he goes, it's good to be back. Yeah. And then they have that little and he does like a cartwheel and you're like, fuck.
And then the camera so the camera goes with him.
And the camera spins with him. And it is just like
because like, I mean, I've seen films where camera movement like that is overdone. Do you know what I mean? And it's you almost have motion sickness watching it. But Leigh Whannell is because it's used a lot in it's more so the robotic arm in The Invisible Man. But he is very good at just because it's not subtle, the camera movement, but it's used so sparsely throughout that it's not like
it's clever as opposed to it's obnoxious.
This is too much. It's like, do you remember that film Ambulance, the Michael Mann one, where it's just drone shots after drone shots?
I never heard of Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, that's the one, not Michael Mann.
And fight scenes, they should be kept very far away from each other. No, it complements the action as opposed to. I'm a little skeptical actually. I know you kind of mentioned earlier about how they did it could well be true that how they tracked it, but you can't just do that with CGI with a computer. Because I did a documentary where we did not anywhere near as elaborate, but a similar effect. It could just be kind of marketing, like they made it sound clever. I'm not saying they're lying or anything. I just am like, did you really need to do it? But the effect, because you are just like, oh my god, oh no, and then it's like, no, we're Superman again, and you're like, fuck yeah, and. So this again goes to, the sneeze I think I'll talk about it here actually. It goes to something that I am completely, I think, bringing to the film. Yeah. But that I think you could say is there. So these are soldiers, like these are guys who have been militarized and he sneezes and nanobots come out of his nose and they have guns in their hands. So, I actually, here's what I liked about it. Yeah.
The reason I hate it so much, right, is because although it didn't completely derail anything for me, it was almost that moment, we've spoken about it before, where I go, here, and I disconnect from it. Like, Leigh Whannell almost ruined this film on me, and I couldn't...
with the hand, with it's the hard sneezing. To say, like,
No, the sneezing thing, I can get all that other stuff.
Okay.
But the sneezing, that scene, I was just like, oh.
Okay, let me tell you where I'm coming at, and you tell me if I'm nuts, because the scene in this, the tech billionaire guy sent his own security team, and the main villain, kills them with so they have guns surgically implanted in their arms.
That was really cool. Because he sees them coming up.
He sees them coming up, yeah.
And he shoots them before they get to the door.
And again, this is me maybe reading this into it, but so there's a thing now in modern warfare, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm an expert on this, but you have this idea of you'll be fighting in the trenches or you'll be fighting against tanks like Saving Private Ryan. I understand that like most of it is you just get fucking blown up by a drone and you don't even know it's coming, or like they've a gun that's shooting you from 15 kilometers away. That's why I found even the nanobots creepy, but the scene in the lift, because it's like they don't even have a chance. Like this guy's already done something that's killed you. Yeah, and it's really cool how it does, because he notices. It's not like he just senses them. He sees the lift beep, and then he looks and he scans, and then they're coming up, and he shoots them before they get to the door. It's a really cool. Yeah, it's very. It is. I find it like he's the villain, and it's an action movie. The only issue I have really was that, and it was such a poxy sneeze as well. Like it's like achoo. And then the nanobots come flying out. Like it just worked for me. The film just.
Like I mean, I know, like because I don't think it's clever. Do you know what I mean? Because like that thing where he shoots them before they get to the elevator doors open. That's clever. That seems practical. I don't think some tech billionaire that works for Cobalt is sitting there going sneezing nanobots.
Maybe you know what I mean? Shouldn't have sneezed, but it just.
Maybe if you had blown them out or something.
Well, later on he tries to do. We can maybe talk about that. We could. So then Gray has another good kind of hand to hand, and he's really angry now. He fucks that guy up, and he's kind of sadistic. Yeah. And he blows his head up with his own hand.
Fantastic the way, which is brilliant, because the way he breaks his arm.
Yeah, breaks his arm, and it's over like that. There's no like pause. There's no look between the two of them. It just happens.
Oh yeah, because but I think that's key. Yeah, and because it pops up again, we'll discuss before the end. Yeah, it's that robotic coldness, which can be really hard to do, because some people humanize it too much in different iterations of it. I think another film that did it very well was Ex Machina. Like the way she just looks at your man when she stabs him at the end of Ex Machina is just cold. Like it's. You probably came across in your research then, like Leigh Whannell, he was like, it isn't just gratuitous. Like what would a sociopath, which is what a robot, which is what this AI would be, what would they do? They don't care how messy it is. They're not wasting time. They the famous thing is when like obviously a scene like that, the human will say something, or he'll do something cool, or he'll show that the guy is angry, his anger at the guy, or they'll try and demean him before he kills him. There'll be an emotional thing where this is not. He snaps his arm, bang, done. Yeah, gone. That's if you watch Luc Besson stuff. Even the stuff he produces, his action scenes don't tend to beat around the bush. They tend to be like that, and I tend to respond to that as much as I'm a fan of the John Woo kind of classic slow motion stuff and all this. So one thing maybe to point out is how little of a thing they make out of what the hacker Jamie was doing, because it says explicitly remove safeguards or something like this, and you don't think anything of it, and that is where the film ultimately obviously ends up. He returns home now, and he bumps into his mother. I love bringing the mother in for that. Like the guilt, and like she's worried about him, and it kind of brings home like this is not the right path, man. Like it is kind of a. He even has that question himself then, because so essentially what happens is he walks in, he's bloodied up and everything, and I do like the fact that the mother doesn't ask him why he's covered in blood. Yeah, do you know what I mean? She's just worried about it. I was like, why didn't you tell me? It about just really humanizes, and it's like it goes, it's kind of a typical scene, like some of the later Death Wish films with Charles Bronson just lean into the comedy of the revenge thing or whatever. But as in terms of like a vigilante killer on revenge, being made to see the error of his, or having his conscience tested, it's just a brilliant dramatization. It's just a brilliant version of that, like the way they cast the mother, how worried she is. And then I did start to get annoyed at the detective when she showed up, because they found, but I mean, because there's one thing, and I did actually think, now hang on, where the fuck's his wheelchair? Do you know what I mean? Because you've seen these, it's been about 15 minutes in real time watching the film since you've seen his yoke. Yeah, and obviously he has to pretend that he's a quadriplegic and all this. But so I actually thought it was really the fact that they found that and she came straight to him and said, "What's the story like?" Do you know what I mean? Yeah. How did you get here? Well. The character's very consistent, but I found you can't help but kind of get annoyed at her, because you just, come on, like, this is the guy who should be taking care of this, you fuck off. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, you never turn against her, which is very important for the ending. So we see here, she's planted a little bug on him, a non-digital one. She's very clever. Yes.
He has that conversation. So he's essentially saying this is where it's revealed. STEM has control now. He's like, I don't have to do what you tell me anymore.
Yeah.
Which is, let's just say, where things get dangerous.
What's the word I'm looking for? There's a sense of unbridled dread. When I was watching that, I was like, oh no. I got a sinking feeling. For a split second, do you ever see in Get Out when they put them in the sunken place?
Yeah.
I got that feeling just for a second, and I went, "Oh no!" Imagine being a passenger in your own body. Like
that's it. Like he didn't even give it a second thought, and he's signed his life away. He's just like, told me to remove safeguards. Yeah, whatever. It didn't even enter his mind to question it, and you're fucked. Like it's happened. You're over. It's finished.
And I think it's important to say at this stage, without it being said. I don't know how you felt here, but I definitely went, okay, so there's something ropey about Erin.
I don't know. The movie moves quick enough. Yeah. And when a film has me, I tend not to overthink it, to be honest. I don't know what I was thinking at this stage. The film did get me at a certain point where I said, wait a minute, hang on, where exactly is this going? Because I'm on the tracks of the revenge thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily looking for anything there, but I could kind of see... I should have been.
Throughout the whole thing, I'll be honest, I was right. I can't wait to find out why. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I definitely was like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't in it in a sense where I wasn't distracted enough by that to be like. But that's something that I like closed loops. Do you know what I mean? So because I mean, you see it all the time where. Okay, something happens and it's atrocious, but it just happens, and that really pisses me off.
I can't even really say that I noticed that it wasn't clear who was behind it, because it was just, you just want to find the guys who killed his wife. Is it really that? I must have, if you'd have stopped the film and said, well, do you think there's a bigger thing here? I probably would have said yes. I just wasn't thinking.
The conspiracy of it all. Sorry. Yeah. The conspiracy of it all really. That's just a part of my viewing experience, and I wanted that satisfaction of knowing. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't like I said, I wasn't distracted enough to be taken away from anything else that's going on, because it's a really kind of functional scene, I'd say, between Cortez and
I mean it does what it needs to.
And again, I really like the fact that as soon as the door closes, it's straight up,
and he's talking to himself,
and his man's like, would you stay? You have control, you have a choice.
I love the dynamic. This is why I thought it was a great touch for it to be the mother, because it's like he's going out to do bad things and his mother's like, no, please,
but also she's saying you have a choice. Now us as the audience and Gray know that he doesn't, whereas she doesn't know that.
Yeah, well, it's a great, like, obviously now it kind of had to be someone like a mother because his wife was killed, but like if it were a wife character, you might expect he would listen, because it's his mother. At least for me, I'm like, of course I'm not going to fucking listen.
Exactly. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah. So I don't want to underplay the next scene, but I don't know that there's much kind of meat on the bone to talk about. It's very well done for a low budget.
Yeah.
They filmed it over 2 nights,
and it's clever.
The ending of it is very clever. I like that a lot.
But essentially it's his car chase. So she's put the recording device on him, and she is chasing him essentially. And Stem realises this, and then it's all this elaborate rules to get it off the scent. Now, this was the first time I didn't notice it. I obviously noticed that once you find out. But basically, he takes control of an autonomous car.
Yeah.
And it's like, hang on, that's what happened to...
Yeah, I didn't know.
I couldn't have guessed where that goes.
It's done so well, because it just seems like we need a solution to the end of this scene. So, but when you look back on it, you're like, oh my God.
I've just told you. I just told you what the ending is like.
It's so clever and it's funny because the guy in the car is obviously kind of an arsehole. But
the thing is that the guy in the car has to be an arsehole, because you can revel in the fact that he's having a bad time. Yeah. You don't want a child to be in it, and you're like, oh my God,
jeez, that'd be terrible. No, I don't want to take on away from the scene, just in terms of like much to talk about. It's just like fair play to them for doing it so well. And apparently it was going to be like I heard comments from Leigh Whannell kind of is like, oh, it's not 30 police cars, it's 1 police car. It used to be 5 and now it's 1.
Yeah.
Impressive for the budget. Really, I like the ending where she takes control of the car and how it pays off. Just a very good scene. But the real scene to talk about is the big showdown with the villain next,
with Fisk,
which is amazing. Apparently, they learned the choreography so well for the fight scene. They did it at the rap party for everybody set to music or something. It's
not surprising that it was set to music because it is dance-like.
Yeah, it is.
It's art.
Brilliant. And they've set it up so that Fisk is so top of the line, and presumably he is so experienced that Stem actually can't even
Stem
beat
says
him.
it. He says, I cannot find a way to hit this.
Yeah, he's anticipating. And this is where it paid off to me. I hope you like this moment where they're both kind of face to face with each other, and he goes nanobots because he's about to breathe on him and get create a headbutt, which I thought was really nice. The choreography, the two lads, amazing. No notes, brilliant. I don't know. I think I mentioned it, but this guy Benedict Hardy is brilliant. He looks brilliant. He's
a very good villain.
Yeah, he's
really good,
and he's horrible.
You hate him.
Yeah.
It's like that's why what I said about at the start about it's kind of RoboCop-esque because what that film does so well is it makes you fucking hate the characters,
which is ultimately part of the misdirection.
Exactly,
not in RoboCop, but here.
Yeah. But so you hate these people because you're like, you cold, callous.
Yeah. Oh, he's awful. He was like the way he was. Leigh Whannell said this explicitly. The way he dresses and kind of grooms himself is based on alt-right kind of like the kind of guy you're talking about. Like, I know I can walk in a room and fucking eat the hearts out of good Lord. But the way he's so meticulously groomed, yet nothing he does makes him look any more attractive.
Yeah. But it's that's true.
Like it's just he is fair play. The guy is diced. Like he's fucking jacked, and the way they do it is great. And what I love is the payoff of it. Now, it is a bit of a movie moment. He has him at gunpoint. And
does the monologue.
He does a bit of a monologue,
but that's touched on as well. And I'll tell you why that works based on the end scene.
Okay, well, fair. What I like about it is he had previously said, don't be so emotional. And then it takes the human element to go, okay, if I mention...
I can't beat you, but I need to make you get...
And this is what I mean when I say, I'll take your kind of point about the race thing, but if you notice, what sets him off and makes him emotional is...
the brother.
When it's the brother, but he says, he was no soldier that day, and that was like a bridge too far for him.
Yeah, I was like, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare...
And you can see him bubbling up, and then it's just that... And the thing that I love about it, it's not another 5 minutes of him winning, it's just dead.
I was just about to say, it's like game over.
Yeah.
It is. Now, I don't know much about fighting, but I assume I've heard kind of Joe Rogan talk about it. I haven't actually, but like once that happens, like it is over. Yeah. Like no matter how much of an expert someone is.
It's a really nice kind of detail that really I suppose because you can forget when you're looking at two human beings that are meant to be essentially artificially. It can take you away from the humanity that's still there. And the part when he puts him down on the glass spike, and then it's hangs on him just for an extra couple of frames, and you see him slide slightly down into it.
Yeah,
and that just goes, he was a human. He was an evil cunt.
Yeah,
but
when it's like you go,
yeah.
But no, I take your.
And then it's the sliding down that makes you go, oh.
Yeah,
this is actually terrible. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, I will say actually to your point, I noticed when I was rewatching it, at the start of the scene, he does go into the stuff about you're inducted into my race. It doesn't quite read as well. And when I say read, I mean when you're watching it, like not now the guy. That stuff I don't think is successful. I do like
it's just not fleshed out enough.
Yeah,
and I don't know. See, I think that you've seen the special features and all. I don't know if it's a deleted scene or something, but it seems like there's something missing to make that. But it keeps coming up. Do you know what I mean?
To me, it's enough that I just look at it as in like an angle on the villains.
Yeah.
But it just isn't as like if they maybe just I just see it as maybe like just rewrite the dialogue a bit. I do like your idea of like could there have been a scene of like them like their little
essentially a little bit like a fucking clan member meeting or something whatever like, do you know what I mean?
You might be onto something there,
because I think that makes everything so much more powerful then because a lot of it just seems like talking about nothing.
As I say, the kind of macho soldier, like you're in my tribe or fuck you kind of a thing, that registered a lot better for me than the race thing. That just kind of seemed like I think I just have to concede the point. It should have been fleshed out a bit more. Now, so then he finds out that Aaron is somehow involved. This was the moment where I did start to go, wait a minute, where is this
Going.
exactly? There's another kind of even stronger moment later on, but I absolutely adore that feeling in a film. Now, it'll sound like completely out of left field, but a moment I always think of is in 2012, which is a big disaster movie. But then at a certain point, they're like, well, we've made it to this place that we're trying to go to. And I was like, wait a minute, where's the film going from here? Because a disaster film just ends when you escape the disaster. And then it turns out like, oh, that we've these ships and all this. And like, however you feel about that film, for a moment in the cinema when I first saw it, I was like, hang on, where is this going? It's a nice feeling because you're like, I thought this was a straight kind of genre film. So when we go into this, I was like, hang on, this is where I started to notice maybe there's something really big going on here.
Yeah.
So he charges in on our boy Aaron.
Yeah, who's sitting down. No, it should be pointed out. He walks around the corner, and the two security guards are there, and it couldn't be quicker. Bang, bang.
Yeah, without a second thought. Yeah, and he's like, they are not.
And it's important to remind people that he is no longer in control.
Yeah, and they're not set up as particularly bad guys like those security guys.
No, they're just security guys.
They work for the guy. But then
because we walk in and he's sitting there. And he's waiting for him to arrive.
Yeah, he's just. Do you know what I mean? He's like, this is inevitable here. Yeah. Just in terms, so the police detective is also there, and I did just want to point out.
She goes back to the apartment, and the mother.
The mother tells her where she is.
Going.
Yeah. I just want to point out like some of the brilliant technical work here with the stunts. There's a moment that we didn't talk about actually in the shootout, in the chase scene, where it's Logan Marshall-Green, and I'll try and explain this, but he's running through a corridor and then he runs into a stairwell and he jumps in one take, and it was him. So there's obviously wire removal going on. And there's some other great stuff in this scene with the detective where, so she's like, put your hands up, blah, 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 blah. And then they have a great moment where she goes to handcuff him and Aaron's like, don't touch him.
Yeah.
And he just jumps up, he jumps up, she does like a flip, and then I think he grabs her and like throws her somewhere.
Against
all
the wall,
in one take.
Yeah.
And that's not easy even on a low budget. Like there's wires involved. These people can't just do backflips to a certain, like you can't just make yourself fly through the air when you're on the ground and someone pretends they're throwing you. Like it's intricate stuff. And he never took the easy way out, Leigh Whannell, and everyone involved. Yeah. Like, they never just, okay, it's easier to just do this, cut.
Yeah.
They never took the easy way out. I really have to take
he is very much a craftsman. Like, I mean, whether you like his films or not, or anything, but you can tell that he enjoys the craft of...
Yeah, no, he really put in the graft on this. They put in the preparation work, and it doesn't seem overly fussy either, which is not easy sometimes when things are really planned out. But there's not even any scene that you're like, oh, right, they fucked that up. Or,
I know, it's very well made. Like, now,
here's where we
go.
Yeah,
so
we're into it.
Obviously,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But this is where the film is just, because I mean, twist endings can be hit or miss. When they're done really well, they're really good. Like this is done, it just works. It is true, especially right. So essentially, what it is we learn that STEM has basically been in control of Aaron as well, but from a different.
Yeah, I haven't run this company for what does he say, 15 years or something. Yeah, STEM does it all, and you're
So he created STEM. So Aaron created STEM. STEM now controls Aaron, essentially. Yeah. But he doesn't control him in the same way he controls... He more so mentally controls him because he's not a part of his system. But what he wanted to do was become human. So
to finish the evolutionary kind of...
so everything we see process from the point of when we're first introduced to STEM has been put into motion by STEM.
Yeah.
So essentially, the AI creates the situation for him to be able to be put into Gray's body,
so
which can be a mouthful
all along.
Phenomenal. So, when I heard that, even watching it because I rewatched it today, and even that, I was still like, you know what I mean?
It's such a horrible concept. It's so logical. That's what I mean in my review, and I said it's surprising yet inevitable because you're like.
But obviously it was him. Obviously,
yeah. Everything is set up like your man even says it in the opening scene. He goes, in the scene where introduced, it can drive anything, it can do anything. What happens in the next scene? Something takes over the car.
Yeah.
So earlier it's apparently going to be cut out. In the scene where he notices the tattoo, you can completely read it now as like he can't actually read it. He just knows what that tattoo is, and he knows where to find the guy.
Because
it's all a ruse. Like but he needs to lead him down the garden path to make these decisions.
Exactly, because even he says it. Why would you bring me on this goose chase to hunt all these people if it led back to you? And it was so you would kill Aaron because he can create another stem.
Yeah.
So, and this is where I bring it back to the point where in the previous scene where he has the big powwow with Fisk. Fisk does the human thing of not just pulling the trigger. And Stem says they're upgraded, but they're human. And they had to go. So I need, and then obviously this is the point where he starts fighting back. So he's trying to...
Yeah, so in the scene, Gray has some control over himself. Like, he can push back. He doesn't want to kill the cop, for example. So he is able to take some measure of control.
And then ultimately, that's what kills him.
Yeah,
that's what.
But you see the strain of it.
Yeah,
there's a
it's so brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant because it's not like it's where the camera's just on him. It's just a normal mid shot, like, and it's just him fighting against.
It's the actor making like, it's ridiculous when you think about it. It is just an actor going, but it
looks
when you
fantastic.
See it in the film, like
and the one thing I didn't get is when he stabs his own hand. So basically, what that is that's Gray. I assume he's trying to lock him in place. He's trying to make him not be able to move.
I really just took it as like a defiant gesture. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Himself,
yeah,
you know
maybe,
what I mean? Yeah. Now, I will say, maybe you were leading up to this, but the sociopathic nature of STEM. So what ultimately happens is it's, revealed. Does this happen before or after? So essentially what happens is, no, it's when he kills. STEM kills Aaron because he's the cop uses a taser on him, so STEM is momentarily incapacitated. Yeah. But I take it, so to your point, the villain does the monologue, but then as soon as STEM can stand up, he just kills Aaron. Yeah. And Aaron is the only one who can help. Because he says,
well, which was weird for me, right? Because obviously STEM clearly starts talking through speakers or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the kind of first time that we kind of see that happening.
Yeah, I just found that creepy. Because
because you see him and your man's like...
Yeah,
and we should actually bring it home as well. So the scene where they're in the hospital bed where he's telling him, it turns out that STEM is in his ear, so it's not just the pauses of an autistic fucking...
Yeah, the way it's up there with like The Usual Suspects, the way that they reveal the twist, not just the twist, how good it is, but how you, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
It's very satisfying.
Why didn't I see that happen? And I did see there's a film with another kind of twist end that's not very well known called The Ninth Configuration, and the director had a good point on it. Now I don't know how it does have a good twist, but he says, that symbol is there, so I won't go into what the twist is, but he says that symbol is there, so when you learn the twist, the audience goes, oh yes, instead of oh come on.
Yeah.
And that's why that stuff, like, it has to be kind of airtight, or as tight as can be, but just the genius of the log and the coldness of it and the horror of you've signed your at every step. He was the one who made these choices, and it just
allowed them then to have full control. And so essentially, the kind of big climax here is he puts the gun to his neck, and it appears.
So Aaron is dead, and he doesn't want to kill the cop, so he's
fighting against it. Yeah, and he puts the gun to his neck, and then bang, we're in a hospital.
Yeah. Now, so I think a lot of audiences might be initially like, oh no,
it's all a dream.
It was all a dream, because he wakes up in a hospital bed, he can move, his wife is there,
and she explains that they were in an accident.
But I remember, I think even at the time I was like, oh no,
this is it.
Oh God,
it's like the end of
I was like this. No, I had enough faith in the film that I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and then it cuts back.
Yeah,
and he is completely, STEM is completely, even the actor's Gray's voice has changed.
Yeah.
He's completely taken control. So he has control of the head now. So every movement now is different.
STEM is it. Aaron has, his mind is broken and he's living in a dream world. This is what I mean. Like,
created by the AI.
I just wish they had changed the line earlier where he said, why would you want to live in a fake? It should have just been simpler instead of why anyone would want to live.
Because the STEM repeats it to the cop.
I do think now you could almost, maybe something we can talk about. Could they just have cut the line earlier, and would the VR thing, living in the fake world, I would say he needed to say something there.
I definitely agree,
It should, you would say in the best sense, film should be visual, and I think you need that to make the ending, like the ending lands fucking brilliantly, just in terms of the rewriting the line earlier. But it is, I just was like, oh my God, it was such a horrible existential dread.
Yeah, because I mean, that's like, because it's like, I remember the Repo Man. Do you remember Repo Man? Jude Law and Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, yes,
right?
yes.
So essentially, a very similar type of thing happens. Right, so for anybody who hasn't seen that film, but it turns out that he lost halfway through the film. He lost the battle, and he's been put on this computer thing. So everything else
about it,
but that is so scary to me, because I mean, I know some people call this a horror. I don't see it as that, but what is horrific is that idea of potentially being a passenger in your own body.
Yeah.
Now, obviously in Gray's case, he's gonna live out his his life looks like, being basically shown a virtual, and that's probably going to be better than. So what? That's the question.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It is just, well, it's such a this is revealed because it cuts back, and Stem, who's now in complete control of him, tells the cop, immediately kills her, no fanfare.
That's it. He goes goodbye,
and then he just walks, and the film ends with him walking out, and it's like, that's it. It's over.
But do you know what I love about this? Is it just shows him walking out. The soundtrack.
Yes.
It's very rare that I will stick around and watch a credits.
Yeah, I noticed the soundtrack. The soundtrack, actually,
fantastic. Yeah, from start to finish of the credits.
The soundtrack. If I were writing the soundtrack, for example, which I've no musical, I would do something incredibly like downbeat. But it actually still has that kind of strings. Now, it's not triumphant or anything.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it even scarier.
Because you're left with a kind of, oh no.
I know, yeah.
It's because you're left with the sense of inevitability.
Yeah.
This is like, they're already putting chips in people. Like, do you know what I mean?
I know, yeah. Well, it's won so completely. Like, and it was just like, look, they were playing chess, and Gray was never going to win. You know, it is just. That again, it's the dramatization of the thesis of the film. It's not, again, the technology is going to win. Okay, you've seen that a million times. How well dramatized it is, and how much you go, oh my God, like what? How much have I already given up? Like it just is brilliant, and the film is exciting, has a good plot. It's 90 fucking minutes long. And it leaves you going like, holy shit.
And I think it has to be pointed out as well, because we've obviously mentioned as well that like these kind of 90-minute original story films don't really exist anymore.
Yeah,
and
it's a rare thing.
But to have one that is so layered and multifaceted, and that has so many different kind of different things, different plot threads going on, minus the one that we don't need to discuss again, in my opinion. But it's just such a well-crafted film, and it's a well-written film. Yeah, and there's not a lot wrong with it. Do you know what I mean?
This is so again, the original, that review that I wrote, where I said, because I remember, you know, I would read things back, because I was younger, I was like, I just love the action scenes. What do you mean it doesn't, like, sure, the bad guy and the villain don't like, the good guy and the villain don't like each other. Of course they'd fight, but. So I was annoyed by the bad reviews of this really did annoy me, because I was like, everything is justified, everything makes sense. Now I think a lot of people criticize, like I think it was Roger Ebert said, The Matrix was so good and intriguing, it's a shame it turns into an action film. And you have to go, well, obviously then you're not a big fan of action films, because why not just take something and elevate a genre with it, as opposed to, like, I mean, you could maybe make a case of, you could do something with the same premise in this film without the action scenes. But like, it is a movie, and like action is one of the purest cinematic forms out there. So I just love the melding of good ideas with great genre films, which this film is. It just, I just have no notes in it. It really, when I saw this, I was blown away. And I was the same as you. See it. There's a film called Upgrade. See it. Jesus Christ. Now I will say, I do think, and I say again, so when I say someone's a fan of a genre, for example, like someone who's a fan of romantic comedies, they see a scene where a boy and girl fall in love with each other, and they just inherently kind of like that if it's done well. I see a scene of someone, an action scene done well, where it's like built up well, you don't like the guy, you get a sense of bloodlust, and it's done well. I tend to like that. So when it's done with a twist, I like that even more. Yeah. And then there's some people who say, who gives a shit about the twist? Do something more original. And to those people, I can only say, well, fair enough. You're just not a fan of like I do like romantic comedies, but I remember I saw one once where someone goes, "Oh, I like the fact that it's a romantic comedy where they don't kiss." I was like, yeah, well.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what you pay your money for. Like,
yeah,
I
was like, all right, like, but that's someone who appreciates the genre is like, they tried something different. I like that. And I might say the same about an action film. I will say the only thing I would maybe say about this, and it's an absolute 5 out of 5, I'll skip ahead on that. I think this is a genre film with a twist. Not literally a plot twist, but like with a different angle on it.
Yeah.
As opposed
different
to like, Die Hard now is the original Die Hard. As much as I love the third one, as anyone who's seen that wonderful episode will know, the original Die Hard is elevating it. Like anyone can enjoy Die Hard. Like, and my mom could watch Die Hard and she might be like, "Oh, it's a bit violent," but she could enjoy it.
Yeah.
She couldn't watch this. This is an action film with a twist, as opposed to one that elevates the genre. Now, it wasn't trying to be one.
Yeah.
And it's so good, I'm kind of reluctant to say it's only one with a twist, but I think ultimately it is. But that does not bother me, but it might bother some other people. I'm just kind of mentioning it as in like trying to define like what this film is to me that makes it so appealing. Because it just had me, and it even before I knew it was something special, I was engaged. But when I found out it was something special, then it just made me lift it. Whereas my mother would be like, "What is that?" Actually, why am I singling out my mother? My father would have been like, "Is that an alien in his neck?" That was his comment when I said, "Come on, we'll go to the cinema to watch The Matrix." And she jumped up and did this. The camera spun around. "Is she an alien?" I was like, "Yeah, just watch the film, Vincent. You'll be grand."
So, if you were to pick out a non-submersible unit, I know what your answer's going to be.
Oh no. I'd have to just say I'd give a very vague kind of I'd have to give so much. I'd have to give equal credit, I'd say, to Leigh Whannell and Logan Marshall-Green. I just have to say my hat's off to both of those guys. The amount of effort and craft and passion that they put into it, I just have no notes. Amazing. I haven't loved any other. I haven't seen Insidious 3, which he directed, and I frankly didn't particularly like Invisible Man. But he has greatness.
Here's some. I don't know if you've saw this in your research, but Cobalt Industries. Who's the CEO? This husband in The Invisible Man is the CEO of what?
Of Cobalt, is he? Oh my God! I remember watching The Invisible Man and going like, "Is no one going to comment on the fact that this guy's the greatest scientific genius who ever lived?" Because it's just kind of like, oh, he's an asshole, but he built this invisible suit, and I was like, man, isn't that really amazing? Like, they're granted the way they set him up with the film. What about you? How would you?
I have to be honest. I'd echo your sentiment in terms of equal credit is due for the work that both Leigh Whannell and Logan Marshall-Green put in. But I think for me, the thing that makes this interesting, if nothing else, is how that man moves his body without moving his head. I think the physical performance in this, possibly a second to none I've ever seen. Like,
I can't think of a physical, like there's some great actors out there who move well, but just in terms of it,
like the different set pieces, like you look at the physical acting of Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, fantastic scene, and it's wonderful physical acting, physical comedy. It's not the same as this.
No,
this is a whole
scene,
This is a whole thing throughout a whole film, and just to know that the effort that was put in, and I think that's what makes this stand apart. Because they could have just made him walk like a, do you know what I mean? And they didn't.
Yeah, they really cared and they really put in the effort. And I know it sounds ridiculous because you'd be like, "Oh, everyone cares when they make a movie." No, they fucking don't.
No.
Like,
some people are there just to punch a cock.
Yeah, I've heard, and like it's not even like just physically making a film, like showing up and like being able to make 50 million decisions is difficult, but to push harder and to really never let up is physically like demanding and difficult, and it takes a strong will. And like it is just a job as well, don't forget, like, you know, so the fact that they really, really cared, it just, I'm astonished by the film. I
hate using this term, but like, I mean, I think it's applies. It's a tour de force of action cinema in a modern context.
Certainly, like as a fan of action, I just have no notes. I just thought it was excellent.
So what would you rate?
A 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, no question. Yeah.
I'm tipping 5, but I'd probably be, just to make myself feel better, I'd say 4.5. And it's only because of, I think there's a wasted plot thread that's made a big deal of. I can't just, if I was just rating it solely on its action scenes and stuff, then 5. But just as the film as a whole, it is something that bothers me, that's kind of not fleshed out enough.
Yeah,
but it's literally, it's a small note in another ways, truly unbelievable film.
Yeah, I do just very quickly. The friend of mine who's a stunt guy. In my original review, I said American-made martial arts scenes, and he pointed out it was made in Australia by an Australian stunt, exclusively Australian. So I changed it to non-Asian because they still do pretty amazing action stuff over there. Shout out to everyone involved with the film who worked on it. For making it for the budget they did for what they came out with.
Fantastic.
Yeah, hats off to you. Yeah.
So if you couldn't tell already, go and watch it. If you haven't, if you've got to this point and you haven't watched it, we apologise for ruining it on you.
Yeah. Although we warned you, we gave you fair warning.
Yeah, that's true as well. So that's it for us for this week. We'll be back next week now.
If does anyone feel like there are better martial arts action scenes in non-Asian action films from the last 15 years?
Yeah, let us know.
Let me know, because I might well be willing to argue with you about it. I may have forgotten something. Who knows? Because to be fair, a lot of American martial arts scenes in American action films have come a long way, inspired by The Matrix. The work of a guy called J.J. Perry, for example, he's kind of famously amazing at them. So what do you think, guys? Did you see Upgrade, and what did you think? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on any of the things that we have said.
That's all that good stuff.
We really do. If you think it looks like we're in a photo booth, let us know. maybe we'll be.
I can understand though. Like, I do get it. It does look like the curtain outside the photo booth.
This is a comment we received, folks. But look, we're trying our best, and our mom says it's cool. So what can you do? See you next time, guys.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much.
Bye bye.